A single lamp cast a dim glow across the living room as Remus sank into the old leather couch, gripping a half-empty bottle of beer. Midnight had passed an hour ago, and the house lay in silence except for the distant hum of the refrigerator. He stared at the front door, his heart pounding with a quiet, persistent thud. Where is she? Outside, the wind howled as though it shared his unease. The moon, veiled by shifting clouds, sent flickers of light across the window. He should have been asleep by now, but the knot in his stomach kept him very much awake. This feeling, sour and relentless, told him something was off. Then, as if answering his unspoken question, Remus heard the rumble of an engine. Headlights glided over the living room walls, and seconds later keys jingled at the front door. He stood, tension rattling through his limbs. Alicia slipped inside with hurried steps, clutching her purse as though it held a dark secret. Her coat was slightly askew, and there was a trace of what smelled like men's cologne lingering around her. She froze at the sight of him. The door thumped shut behind her. "You're up late," Alicia managed, her voice tight with surprise. Remus set his beer down, his gaze never leaving her. "I couldn't sleep." A half-hearted smile flickered across her face, then vanished. She began fidgeting with the zipper of her coat. I got caught up finishing a project. Sorry if I worried you." He studied her with a calm intensity that belied his roiling emotions. "Work ran this late? That's unusual, even for you." Outside, a gust of wind slammed a tree branch against the window, punctuating his words with a harsh crack. Alicia flinched. "Yes, well, there was an emergency meeting," she said hastily, eyes darting away. Remus stepped forward, catching a subtle hint of that unfamiliar fragrance. It wasn't her usual floral perfume. This was sharper, distinctly masculine. He forced a measured smile, hiding the sting of suspicion. "I see," he replied gently. "Long day, then?" She nodded too fast. "Really long day." He gestured at the couch. "Sit down. You look exhausted." She hesitated, then sank into the seat, letting her purse slide to the floor. Remus picked up on her every move, from the twitch in her hands to the faint tremor in her voice. His stomach churned. "Stay calm. Gather facts," he reminded himself. For a moment, neither spoke. Alicia ran her hand over her hair, which was slightly disheveled. The silence pressed down, thick with unspoken questions. Finally, Remus settled next to her, leaning forward so he could see her face clearly. "How's the new project coming along?" he asked, voice low. She blinked, taken aback by his composed tone. "It's fine. We're dealing with supply delays." "Supply delays," he echoed, like a detective summarizing evidence. "Is that what kept you away until 1 in the morning?" She opened her mouth, then closed it again, eyes flicking toward the side window. The tension in the room felt like a coiled wire, ready to snap. "Yes," she muttered. "Just a mess at the office." Remus nodded. "I understand, but you could have called or texted, Alicia. I was worried." Alicia's face tightened. "I'm sorry. I really am. Everything happened so fast I lost track of time." He exhaled, feeling anger and concern battling within him. "It's okay," he said softly, though his mind screamed otherwise. "We'll talk more in the morning." Alicia stood, clearly eager to retreat. "I need a shower," she mumbled. She scooped up her purse from the floor, then paused as though sensing something. The overhead bulb flickered. For an instant, Remus saw guilt flash in her eyes. Then she walked briskly down the hallway toward the bedroom. Remus stayed put. The beer tasted stale now, but he took another swig, hoping it would soothe his nerves. Instead, it only sharpened the queasy unease in his gut. He glanced at the clock on the wall, 1:17 a.m. His gaze drifted to the end table where Alicia's phone lay partially hidden under a pile of mail. She must have set it down without thinking a rare occurrence because she usually clung to it. The screen lit up with a new message. Without hesitation, Remus reached over. The phone vibrated softly in his hand, and a preview of the incoming text glowed on the lock screen. "Unknown number. Wish we could have spent more time tonight. Don't forget what I said. Text me when you get a chance." A chill coursed through his veins. Tonight. The word echoed in his mind. So there really was more to her late return than a mere work project. He placed the phone back, feeling the pulse in his neck hammer like a warning drum. Outside, the wind battered the window once more. Rain began to patter the rooftop, intensifying into a discordant melody. Remus sank against the couch, thoughts racing. No confrontation yet, no raised voices. Instead, his suspicion took root like a seedling in dark soil, sprouting the first leaves of dread. He stared down the hallway where Alicia's light footsteps creaked across the bedroom floor. Their home felt strangely foreign, each shadow turned menacing by the secrets lurking beneath. He wondered what she was hiding and who this nameless contact might be. As he switched off the lamp, leaving the living room awash in darkness, a single resolve ignited within him. I need to find out exactly what's going on. Morning light filtered through the blinds, casting slanted stripes across the dining table. Remus rubbed the bridge of his nose, trying to clear the lingering anxiety from last night. His coffee sat untouched, steaming faintly, the aroma of roasted beans doing little to calm him. Alicia was in the kitchen, preparing breakfast for Penny and Toby. The children chattered about cartoons, blissfully unaware of the tension simmering between their parents. Remus watched his wife's every move, her stiff shoulders, forced smiles, the way she avoided his gaze. He forced himself to speak casually. "Need any help, Al?" She looked up, her expression carefully neutral. "Could you pour some juice for Penny?" she asked softly, as if they were treading on delicate ground. "Sure." He grabbed the carton and fixed his daughter's glass while Toby banged a toy car against his high chair. Alicia's phone buzzed on the counter, the sound so ordinary yet laced with hidden meaning. She snatched it quickly, offering a quick, "Excuse me," before stepping away. Remus's jaw clenched. This is real, something has changed. Half an hour later, the kids were off to daycare, leaving the house unusually quiet. Remus and Alicia stood by the doorway. She fiddled with her keys, and he noted the faint circles under her eyes. "Remus," she said, forcing a gentle smile. "I'm sorry about last night. I didn't mean to worry you." He swallowed, nodding. "It's all right." But the knot in his chest said otherwise. She paused as if wanting to say more, then shook her head. "I'll see you after work." "Sure." When the door closed behind her, Remus let out a long breath, images of that cryptic text floating in his mind. He realized he couldn't just wait and hope. "I need to do something." A rush of memories flooded his thoughts, moments of laughter with Alicia, nights spent watching movies, the day they brought Penny home from the hospital. That was the Alicia he knew, loving, honest, dependable. Now it felt like she was slipping away into shadows. He grabbed his coat and stepped outside, blinking against the daylight. He had to call someone he could trust, so he fished out his phone and dialed Gawain's number. Gawain, a longtime friend and co-worker in a different department, had a knack for digging up information. "Hey, man," Gawain answered cheerily. "It's early, everything all right?" Remus's voice came out tense. "I need a favor. It's about Alicia." Gawain went quiet for a second. "Okay, talk to me." Remus leaned against his car, scanning the suburban street. "Something's changed with her. I caught a weird text on her phone last night. Some unknown number. She came home smelling like men's cologne." He swallowed the lump in his throat. "She's hiding something. I just don't know what." Gawain exhaled through the receiver. "That's heavy, man. Look, if you need me to check anything at the office or track down suspicious activity, I can try." Relief mingled with dread in Remus's chest. "Thanks. I appreciate it. Just be discreet. I'm not sure I'm ready to confront Alicia until I know for sure what's going on." "Got it," Gawain said softly. "Hang in there, Remus, and keep me posted." He ended the call, staring at his reflection in the car window. He hardly recognized the anxious, grim-faced man staring back. This wasn't how their marriage was supposed to be. We used to be so happy. His mind drifted to their early years. Alicia in her wedding dress, radiant with joy. The two of them dancing barefoot in the living room of their first apartment. The rush to the hospital when Penny was born. Each memory felt like a precious gem, glowing with warmth. Now, those memories clashed with the dark reality of suspicion. The sky had grown overcast, mirroring his mood. "Storm's coming," he whispered to himself, an echo of the turmoil swirling inside. He climbed into his car and headed to work, bracing for the day and for whatever revelations might lie ahead. The wind along the shipyard's wharf carried the scent of salt water and metal filings, mingling with the distant roar of machinery. Remus tugged his jacket tighter against the chilly breeze as he made his way past towering hulls under construction. He wasn't officially assigned here today. His own role was typically in engineering support, stationed across town. But an urgent shipment mix-up had dragged him over to the main shipbuilding site. Workers bustled about, shouting instructions, their heavy boots clanging on steel walkways. Overhead, a crane whirred, lifting massive sections of a ship's frame. Remus tried to keep his focus on the invoice in his hand until he spotted Alicia. She stood near a row of cargo containers, clipboard in one hand. Next to her was a man he recognized from company bulletins, though they'd never met. Crispin. Tall, well-groomed, and exuding a polished charm that seemed at odds with the grime and clang of the industrial setting. Remus paused, the invoice curling slightly in his grasp. Alicia laughed politely at something Crispin said, her posture relaxed but her eyes flashing uncertainty. Remus felt a twist in his gut, remembering the cologne from last night. He braced himself, telling himself not to jump to conclusions. He stepped forward. "Hey, Alicia." She looked up, her smile faltering momentarily before she recovered. "Remus, hi. What are you doing here?" "Shipment issues," he replied, lifting the paper in his hand. "They're saying the parts we need got mislabeled." He forced a casual tone, but his heart pounded like a hammer. "I didn't realize you'd be on site." Crispin extended a hand before Alicia could respond. "You must be Remus," he said with a confident grin. "I'm Crispin. I've heard good things about your work in engineering support." Remus shook his hand, noting Crispin's firm grip and unwavering eye contact. The man radiated a certain smugness. "Thanks. Nice to meet you." "Crispin here's helping me organize some logistic concerns," Alicia explained quickly, glancing at Remus. "We're trying to expedite new materials, so Crispin's been coordinating with suppliers." "Really?" Remus said, letting the word hang. He studied Crispin, noting the meticulously styled hair and the faint trace of the exact cologne he'd smelled on Alicia. So this must be the man behind last night's text? The possibility seared through his mind. Crispin casually checked his watch. "I need to confirm a delivery schedule." He flashed a cordial smile. "Alicia, I'll be back in a moment." He turned to Remus. "I'm sure we'll cross paths again soon." Then he strode off, leaving behind the faint echo of his footsteps against the metal decking. Remus exhaled, forcing his tension aside. "Busy day, huh?" Alicia nodded. "There's a lot going on. Crispin's new here, but he's been effective." She hesitated as though she wanted to say more, but instead pressed her lips together. Remus shoved his free hand into his jacket pocket. "I'm glad you have good support." He paused. "Listen, about last night." She closed her eyes briefly. "I'm sorry, Remus. I know it looks strange, but Crispin asked me to help with a sudden mix-up. We ended up working late." She didn't mention the text, and he didn't push it yet. "All right," he managed. "Let's talk more at home. I've got to figure out this mislabeled shipment." Alicia nodded, relief washing over her face. "Of course. Good luck with that." He lingered a moment, then turned away, stepping into the rhythmic chaos of the shipyard. His heart pounded, blood rushing in his ears. Crispin's polished manner left him on edge. Something about the man's confidence felt almost predatory. Remus took a detour through a quieter row of storage tanks, phone in hand. Gawain had texted earlier. "I found something interesting about Crispin's background. Let's talk tonight." Remus's stomach nodded. "So Crispin has secrets, huh?" As he moved on, the clank of metal and hiss of welding torches echoed in the background. This place, once a symbol of pride for Remus, now felt like a stage where hidden motives played out in plain sight. He shook off a surge of anger. Crispin might think he's untouchable, but Remus wasn't about to let another man sabotage his marriage. He turned a corner and nearly collided with Crispin coming from the opposite direction. The man's smile never wavered. "Everything all right?" Crispin asked, a subtle challenge glinting in his eyes. "Just making sure the shipments are in order." Remus replied evenly. Wouldn't want any unnecessary delays. Crispin nodded. No, of course not. Efficiency is key. Then he strode past, and for an instant, Remus felt a simmering tension swirl between them, like a fuse quietly burning. Clutching the invoice, Remus resolved to keep his cool. I need more information, he thought. If Crispin was indeed the unknown number from Alicia's phone, Remus would expose it. And he had a feeling Gawain's discoveries might be the first step. By late afternoon, Remus found himself in a cramped office that smelled of old paper and chemical cleaner. He'd finally tracked down the mislabeled shipment problem and was finalizing the paperwork, kneading the tension from his neck. The day had worn on him between Crispin's presence and Alicia's guarded demeanor. A constant ache pulsed at his temples. A sharp rap on the open door drew his attention. Standing there was Marissa, a woman known throughout the company for her non-nonsense attitude and exacting standards. She held a small stack of folders against her hip, her eyes scanning the room before settling on Remus. Busy? She asked, stepping inside. She wore a tailored blazer with crisp lines, and her short, neatly styled hair framed a stern but intelligent face. Just finishing up some paperwork, he said. He'd crossed paths with Marissa only a few times, but he respected her efficiency. What's on your mind? She shut the door behind her, then rested the folders on a nearby cabinet. I saw you earlier near the cargo containers with Alicia and Crispin. Her voice was low, almost conspiratorial. Remus straightened. Yeah, they were handling a logistics issue. Why? Marissa's gaze flicked toward the window, checking that no one lingered outside. Let me be direct. I've been with this company long enough to recognize certain patterns, especially when Crispin is involved. A prickle of unease crawled up Remus's spine. He's new, isn't he? She nodded, stepping closer. Yes, but I've encountered his type before. Remus set aside his pen, giving her his full attention. What do you mean, his type? Marissa hesitated, as though weighing how much to reveal. Years ago, I dealt with someone who manipulated coworkers for personal gain, someone who thrived on attention, flattery, and entangling people in secrets. Crispin reminds me of that man, almost to a fault. Her words resonated uneasily with the suspicions swirling in Remus's mind. Are you suggesting Crispin is dangerous? She let out a quiet sigh. I can't say dangerous in the physical sense, but he could be a predator of sorts. The kind who targets vulnerable people, those who might be going through stress or feeling underappreciated. Her lips curved with a grim smile. He has a knack for stirring up drama that benefits him. Remus felt the weight of her warning settle on him. Was Alicia vulnerable? They'd had their occasional marital strains, especially with raising 2 kids. But would that be enough for Crispin to latch onto? He shuddered at the thought. Why are you telling me this? Remus asked quietly, bracing himself for the answer. Because I saw your wife with him. Marissa's voice was firm but not unkind. And I noticed the tension in your face today. It's possible Crispin's trying to drive a wedge between you two. Or maybe he's just looking for his next trophy. Either way, I don't want to see another family torn apart by someone like him. Remus swallowed hard. The memory of Alicia coming home late, the mysterious text, Crispin's smug smile, everything collided in his mind like a jigsaw puzzle forming a grim picture. I appreciate the concern, he managed. She gave a small nod. Look, I'm not asking you to confront him blindly. Just be cautious. Keep an eye on his interactions with Alicia. She picked up one of the folders from the cabinet, flipping it open. If you need any intel, I've got a few connections in HR and other departments. Let me know. He paused, struggling to maintain composure. Thank you, Marissa. I mean it. It's been a rough couple of days. Her eyes softened. I can tell. Sometimes knowledge is your best defense. Don't rush into anything until you have the facts. Remus nodded. I won't. Marissa tucked the folder under her arm, heading for the door. Take care, Remus. And remember, Crispin isn't just flirting. He's playing a game. Don't let him catch you off guard. She slipped out, leaving Remus alone in the office. A faint hum from an overhead fluorescent light droned like static in his ears. A swirl of frustration and determination surged in his chest. Marissa's words had validated his worst fears. Crispin was not just some coworker with an interest in Alicia, he was a man with a method. Remus powered down his computer, already forming a plan in his mind. Gather proof, find out Crispin's weaknesses, protect Alicia, and protect our family. He refused to let another man strip away the life he and Alicia had built together. Outside, the sun dipped toward the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and red that glimmered on the surface of the water. Despite the day's end, Remus felt a renewed sense of urgency. He stepped into the corridor, adrenaline sparking through his veins like electricity. He might not have all the pieces yet, but he was done with passive suspicion. This was now a battle for truth, and he intended to win. Late morning sunlight streamed through tall windows in Alicia's open-plan office, catching the sheen of newly waxed floors. Row after row of cubicles and desks stretched out like a modern maze of deadlines and phone calls. Alicia was at her corner workstation, hunched over paperwork, her eyes shadowed from nights of poor sleep. Around her, colleagues tapped away on keyboards or answered calls with robotic courtesy. Crispin approached with a disarming smile and 2 steaming cups of coffee. "I figured you could use a pick-me-up," he said smoothly, placing one on her desk. He wore a sharp navy blazer, the faintest hint of cologne, again that same distinct scent which had clung to Alicia's coat. "Thanks," Alicia murmured, pushing a strand of hair behind her ear. She sipped the coffee more for comfort than flavor. Crispin stood near her desk, glancing at her ring finger. "How's your family doing? Any update on that little girl of yours, Penny, right?" Alicia brightened for a moment. "Penny's good, always excited about preschool projects. And Toby, well, he's a handful," she added softly, though her eyes flickered with worry. Thoughts of her recent distance from Remus flashed through her mind. Crispin's face adopted a sympathetic cast. "Family life can be tough. Sometimes I wish I had that kind of stability, but it's complicated." He exhaled, looking away as if embarrassed to share more. "Complicated?" Alicia echoed. He set down his coffee. "I don't talk about this often, but my mother's been very ill," he said, voice subdued. "Cancer, late stages. I've been trying to balance my job here with trips to see her in the hospital out of state. Some days it feels like the world's caving in." Alicia's expression softened with genuine concern. "Crispin, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. If there's anything I can do—" He forced a bittersweet smile. "Just having someone to talk to helps. I'm not close to many people around here." His eyes glistened briefly. "At least you understand the weight of responsibility. People with families usually do." Emotion tugged at Alicia's chest. She knew how it felt to juggle stress at home and at work. The mention of his ailing mother stirred her empathy. I can listen," she offered, albeit hesitantly. He nodded, stepping back with an air of reluctance. "I appreciate that, but I won't burden you too much. You already have enough to handle, right?" Alicia shook her head. "Don't say that. Everyone needs a friend sometimes." Their conversation was interrupted by the ring of Alicia's work phone. Crispin mouthed, "We'll talk later," then headed off across the room. Despite her natural kindness, a shadow of guilt crept into Alicia's thoughts. She had kept Crispin's personal troubles from Remus, uncertain how he might react, especially given the tension mounting at home. She rationalized, "It's Crispin's private matter. Maybe it's not my place to tell Remus." That evening, Remus noticed Alicia lost in her own world. Sitting on the living room couch, she scrolled through her phone, responding to emails or texts. He approached, placing a warm hand on her shoulder. "You've been quiet lately," he said in a gentle tone, though concern etched his features. "Is something on your mind?" She pulled away fractionally before catching herself. "Just work deadlines," she replied, eyes darting. "There's a big logistical push this week." Remus frowned inwardly. She's hiding something. Aloud, he said only, "I'm here if you want to talk." She offered a half-hearted smile. "Thanks," was all she managed. When she disappeared into their bedroom soon after, Remus was left in the silent living room. The only noise was Penny's soft giggle in another room, Toby babbling in toddler speech. In that hush, Remus felt a widening gulf between him and Alicia. He recalled how just a few months ago they would share stories about their day, laugh over silly office politics, or plan family road trips. Now she's miles away, he thought, watching her bedroom door. Even in that moment of solitude, Remus's resolve hardened. He suspected Crispin was more than just a friendly coworker with sob stories. If Crispin had found a way to rattle Alicia's sympathies, he could be weaving a net around her, hoping to distance her from her husband. Not happening, Remus told himself firmly. I won't lose her. The next day, Remus parked his sedan near the company's secondary administration building, where Gawain had an office. Gray clouds drifted overhead, reflecting his somber mood. He stepped into a small side entrance and made his way through corridors that smelled faintly of printer ink and stale coffee. Remus. Gawain waved him into a cramped office lined with shelves of technical manuals and random boxes. After shutting the door, his friend motioned for Remus to sit. You said you had something? Remus asked, leaning forward in anticipation. Gawain nodded, firing up his computer. I did some digging on Crispin. Took a look at HR records, cross-referenced with public databases. He's only been here a few months, transferred from a sister branch in another state. Remus's brow furrowed. So he's legit, at least on the surface. Seems so, but I found an odd detail. Crispin had 2 prior complaints filed against him at his old branch. Both were eventually dropped. The notes only say lack of substantial evidence. Tension rippled through Remus's jaw. Complaints about what? Something labeled inappropriate boundary issues. That's all the system says. It's vague, could mean harassment or manipulative behavior. Remus let out a slow breath, feeling the puzzle pieces click. Crispin, with his honeyed words and sob stories, had probably pulled similar stunts before. Gawain continued, There's also a rumor, purely rumor, mind you, that Crispin's been in financial trouble. Credit issues, gambling maybe. But that's not confirmed. Remus pressed his palms together, considering the implications. Money problems. 2 prior complaints. Possibly a manipulator. This is enough for me to be on high alert, he muttered. Can you dig deeper? I want to know if Crispin's pulling any shady stunts with the current project budgets. Gawain agreed. Sure, but be careful. If Crispin finds out, he might lash out. Guys like him often get nasty if cornered. Remus nodded. I'll watch my back. Later, Remus and Marissa reconvened in the corridor of the main shipyard office. She carried a folder labeled Procurement Audits, her sharp heels tapping against the polished tile. I've got your back, she told him, voice low. This folder includes some anomalies in Crispin's expense reports. Might not be rock-solid proof yet, but it's a start. Remus flipped through a few pages, seeing unexplained reimbursements. We gather enough evidence. We make our move, he said. Marissa's features hardened with determination. Exactly. But Crispin is cunning. He'll sense if we strike too soon. Remus understood. Crispin had already begun spinning Alicia's compassion into secrecy. A direct confrontation could make Crispin retreat temporarily or twist the narrative, painting Remus as the jealous husband. No, I need to be precise, he thought. At home that evening, Remus found Alicia cleaning up after dinner, her motions brisk yet distracted. He gently clasped her wrist. Hey, let me help. She glanced at him, tension brimming in her eyes. For a moment, he thought she might open up, but she only shook her head. Thanks, I've got it, she murmured, her gaze drifting elsewhere. That night, the distance between them in bed felt like miles. With Crispin's manipulations intensifying and the new evidence in Remus's hands, he sensed the cracks forming in their marriage. He's targeting our weak spot, Remus realized. He'll press until we break unless I strike first. Late in the week, rumors began circulating around the shipyard that Alicia and Crispin had been seen leaving together after hours. An older mechanic, Glenn, casually dropped the info to Remus in the cafeteria. Saw your wife ride out with Crispin last night, he mentioned offhandedly. Hope everything's okay. Remus forced a neutral smile. I'm sure it's fine. Probably a project meeting. Inside, he fought a wave of anger and hurt. Was Alicia actually going off with Crispin, or is Crispin making sure these rumors spread? He found Alicia in a narrow break room, grabbing a quick snack between tasks. The air smelled of burnt coffee and microwaved leftovers. She looked startled by his appearance. You all right? Remus asked, feigning casual conversation. She cleared her throat, darting a glance down the hallway as if anxious Crispin might be lurking. Yes, just hectic. Crispin said the team needed to check some supplier warehouse last evening. It was last minute. Remus forced a slight slump in his shoulders, letting his eyes flicker with wounded vulnerability. I understand. It just caught me off guard hearing from others rather than you. Alicia bit her lip. I'm sorry, I should have texted. He nodded, letting silence stretch, ensuring she felt his hurt. It's okay, he finally said in a quiet tone. I guess you trust Crispin a lot these days. Her cheeks flushed. He's had some personal struggles, and the project is time-sensitive. I didn't mean to keep you out of the loop. Remus read her expression unease, guilt. Crispin was weaponizing her empathy and sense of duty. Stay calm, he reminded himself. I just hope you realize I'm here for you, Alicia, he said softly, turning away to walk out. When Remus vanished around the corner, Crispin appeared in the break room doorway as if on cue. Alicia jolted at his sudden presence. Is your husband upset? Crispin asked, voice dripping with concern. She tried to shrug it off. He's fine. We just need better communication. Crispin stepped closer, lowering his voice. I hate thinking I'm a wedge between you. This is the last thing I wanted. He gave a theatrical sigh. If your husband ever doubts your intentions or you need space, I'll back off. Alicia looked torn, remembering Crispin's mother, his plight, the help he seemed to need. No, it's not that. Just let me handle it. He patted her shoulder lightly. All right, I trust you. Meanwhile, Remus retreated to his office, making sure to pass by a few staff members with a visibly forlorn expression. Word would reach Crispin that he was taking the rumors badly exactly as Remus intended. Let Crispin believe I'm cracking, he thought, his pulse cold with determination. At day's end, Crispin casually ambled into the main corridor, crossing paths with Remus. Pretending to be lost in thought, Remus brushed by him. Crispin offered a condescending smile. Rough day? He asked in a low voice. Remus forced a half-hearted nod, looking away as if embarrassed. Crispin's grin widened, seeing the perceived vulnerability. He's falling for it, Remus realized. Good. That Friday evening, a pale moon hung over the shipyard parking lot, highlighting rows of vehicles in silver outlines. The wind carried the faint tang of salt and engine oil. Most employees had gone home. Remus lingered near his sedan, scanning the silhouettes of trucks and cars. He spotted Crispin stepping out of the building's side door. Alicia had already left after finishing a late shift. This is my chance, Remus thought. He casually moved away from his car, intercepting Crispin's path. Crispin paused, his polished shoes scuffing on the asphalt. Working late? He asked, an edge of smugness in his tone. Remus squared his shoulders, speaking softly but firmly. I want to make one thing clear. Don't toy with Alicia's kindness. She's got enough on her plate without your games. A flicker of challenge lit Crispin's eyes. Games? I'm only doing my job, unless you think listening to a colleague's problems is a crime. Remus's voice dropped. That listening ear routine is how you worm your way into people's lives. Don't drag my wife into your troubles. Crispin stifled a laugh. You sound paranoid, pal. He took a step closer, the overhead lamp casting shadows across his face. But if you're so concerned, maybe you should try being there for Alicia, instead of letting her handle everything. Remus stood his ground, heart thudding. I'm warning you. Back off. I don't care about your sob stories or rumors. If you're angling for something more than a professional relationship, you'll regret it. For a split second, Crispin's polished facade slipped. His gaze hardened, a predator sizing up an opponent. Do you honestly think you can stop me? He scoffed, letting an arrogant smirk cross his features. She can make her own choices, and right now, I think she's not too happy at home. Remus clenched his fists, forcing himself to maintain composure. Exploding into anger would only confirm Crispin's narrative that Remus was insecure and unstable. Instead, he smoothed his expression, letting each word resonate with quiet force. Don't push your luck. Crispin made a low, dismissive sound and turned to walk away. His parting words drifted back in a hushed sneer. We'll see who she really trusts. Remus watched him disappear into the darkness, frustration simmering under his skin. But beneath the anger was a steely resolve. Crispin had all but admitted his intentions. The line was drawn. He's out to tear us apart now, I'm certain. Standing under the flickering lamp, Remus inhaled deeply, the night air chilly against his cheeks. He had no illusions now. Crispin wouldn't be deterred by polite warnings or emotional appeals. This is war, Remus told himself, and I plan to win. A cold drizzle swept across the shipyard's parking lot as Remus checked his watch for the third time, tension coiling in his stomach. He'd been summoned quietly by Marissa to meet with Lowen, the company's head of HR, and if office gossip held true, Marissa's ex-husband. The hush of near-empty hallways wrapped him in anticipation. Lowen's office was a modest space with neatly stacked case files, a single window smudged by the rain, and a calm, measured presence behind the desk. He rose upon Remus's entry, extending a handshake. "Remus, thanks for coming," Lowen said, voice steady. "Marissa's told me enough that I think we have a situation with Crispin." Remus took a seat. "You're aware of how he's isolating my wife, Alicia. He's slipping in personal stories, stirring rumors, wearing her down emotionally." Lowen nodded gravely, exchanging a glance with Marissa, who stood by the door. Crispin has been the subject of 2 formal complaints for harassment in the past. Nothing was conclusive, so they never escalated to termination. But one more legitimate complaint, with evidence, gives us grounds to act decisively. Remus leaned forward, jaw tight. "I want Crispin held accountable. He's not just flirting, he's out to undermine my marriage. I've done my research. He's manipulative, possibly financially unstable. He's a danger to more than just Alicia." Lowen slid a slim folder across the desk. "I've compiled what we have. Second-hand testimonials, suspicious messages. It's enough for concern, but not enough for a firing. We need something airtight like a recorded attempt at crossing boundaries." Remus's gaze dropped to the folder. Flicking it open, he grimly scanned Crispin's prior complaints. The statements sounded eerily similar, friendly at first, then crossing lines of personal comfort. "So if I get this one final piece of proof, Crispin's gone?" Lowen nodded. "That's the policy. Bring me the evidence, and I can push for immediate dismissal." Marissa set her hand on Remus's shoulder. "I'll help however I can. Crispin turned more than one department upside down. If we don't stop him, Alicia won't be the last to suffer." Remus squared his shoulders, feeling a surge of resolve. "You've got my word I'll bring that proof, and Crispin will pay for what he's done." Early the next week, a chill wind rattled the windows of the operations building. Remus and Marissa huddled in a quiet corridor, going over the plan. The walls hummed with the buzz of fluorescent lights, and an undercurrent of lunchtime chatter wafted from distant break rooms. "We need Crispin to let his guard down," Marissa murmured, arms crossed. "If he suspects we're onto him, he'll avoid taking risks." Remus nodded. "I'll handle the first prong. A scenario that puts Alicia and Crispin alone in the office after hours, but with cameras and audio set up. If Crispin crosses the line, we'll have solid proof." Marissa adjusted the files in her arms. "That's our best shot." "Meanwhile, I'll push Alicia to open up about Crispin's intentions. She needs to realize she isn't obligated to keep his secrets." Their footsteps echoed as they moved to an empty supply room. Remus's face was shadowed with concern. "Alicia still believes Crispin's mother is sick. She thinks she's just being supportive. She won't like feeling manipulated, so if I force this on her, she might withdraw. I need her cooperation, not hostility." Marissa gave him a firm nod. "Which is where I come in. I'll encourage her to speak her mind, remind her to trust you. Don't confront her with accusations. Let her see Crispin's true nature on her own." Outside, Crispin paced by the elevator, glancing surreptitiously at them. He could sense tension, though he couldn't hear their words. Marissa caught a glimpse of him, leaned in to whisper, "We'd better act normal. He's suspicious." Remus pocketed a small voice recorder Gawain had lent him, heart pounding at the magnitude of the plan. "Tonight, I'll text Alicia to stay late. We'll fabricate an urgent work request. I'll handle the actual cameras. Crispin might smell a trap, but hopefully his arrogance will overshadow his caution." Marissa's eyes flickered. "Just be careful. Men like Crispin can snap if cornered." Remus mustered a tight smile. I'm counting on him being so confident he'll slip up. That evening, Alicia was surprised when Remus suggested she remain after her usual shift. "We've got an unexpected shipment at the loading bay," he said, feigning exasperation. "And Crispin is on deck. I need you both to verify the inventory, apparently." Alicia looked hesitant but agreed. "If Crispin's in charge of the logs, I guess I can help finalize them." From across the hallway, Crispin overheard, an inscrutable gleam in his eyes. "Sure," he said smoothly, stepping in. "Alicia and I can handle it. Don't worry." Remus forced a small, weary nod, slipping away to set up the hidden camera angles. Phase 1, he thought, adrenaline surging. Now let's see Crispin try to be the knight in shining armor. The overhead lights buzzed quietly in the deserted office wing as the clock neared 9 p.m. Alicia typed at a desk near the large windows, occasionally rubbing her arms against the chill. Crispin sat beside her, rummaging through digital invoices on a shared screen. Remus watched from a concealed vantage point in an adjacent room. Monitors linked to a small camera he'd installed earlier, one discreetly tucked among the ceiling tiles. The building's security staff had mostly clocked out, leaving behind an eerie calm. Alicia finished updating a file. "Everything looks accounted for, Crispin. I guess we're nearly done." She sounded drained, her posture slumped with fatigue. Crispin swiveled his chair close to hers, uncomfortably close. His voice dropped to a hush. "I really appreciate you staying, Alicia. It means a lot, especially when I'm feeling so alone." Her gaze flicked to him, sympathy lighting her eyes. "Is your mother's treatment going any better?" He sighed, adopting a doleful expression. "I wish. The doctors say it's a slow decline." Under the desk, Crispin scooted his chair closer so their knees brushed. Alicia shifted slightly, uncertain. "Maybe you should take some time off to be with her," Alicia suggested gently. "Family is important." He nodded, then let out a shaky breath. "I hate burdening you with all this, but—" He paused, glancing at her ring. "I'm jealous sometimes, seeing how supportive you are. I haven't had that kind of stability in my life." From the monitor feed, Remus tensed, watching Crispin inch closer to Alicia. "Don't fall for it, Alicia," he thought, heart pounding. She offered a kind but strained smile. "I'm sorry you feel alone, but I have my own family. My husband," Crispin cut her off, gently laying a hand on her forearm. "Are you sure he's there for you? Really there?" His gaze bored into her. "I've seen you looking stressed, worn down. Don't you deserve better?" Alicia stiffened, her pulse quickening with discomfort. "He's my husband, Crispin. We have problems, but every couple does." "I'm not sure I understand what you're implying." He took a breath as if summoning courage, then abruptly leaned in, attempting to kiss her. Alicia gasped, pushing back in alarm, her rolling chair rattling across the tile. "Crispin, what are you?" He grasped her wrist, though not violently, more like a desperate clutch. "I'm sorry, You don't have to keep living in his shadow." His face twisted with a wild mixture of hope and desperation. "I can make you happier, Alicia." Terror and realization washed over Alicia. She pulled free, stumbling to her feet. Her voice trembled. "I'm married. You're crossing a line." Crispin's expression flickered from contrition to frustration. "We both know your husband's suspicious. Why not just suddenly the door opened?" Alicia spun, expecting to see Remus, but no one appeared. Crispin froze, scanning the hallway. Empty. Without another word, Alicia scooped up her belongings and bolted for the exit, tears stinging her eyes. Crispin cursed under his breath, a mixture of shock and anger twisting his features. In the adjacent room, Remus clenched his jaw, stopping himself from storming in. Not yet, he reminded himself, adrenaline roaring through his veins. Crispin's words, "I can make you happier," seared Remus's mind, but more importantly, the camera had recorded Crispin's blatant move. It's done. Less than an hour later, Remus found Alicia sobbing quietly in her car, parked at the far end of the lot under a flickering security lamp. He rapped gently on the window. She cracked the door open, eyes reddened. "Remus, oh my God," she murmured, voice hitching. He just... She couldn't finish the sentence, her breath shuddering with disbelief. Remus slid into the passenger seat, shutting the door. He offered her a tissue from the glove box, exhaling deeply. I know what happened, he said softly. I saw it. Her head whipped around. How could you? He held up his phone. A small feed paused on the screen from the camera's live recording. A weight of relief, sorrow, and guilt crashed over Alicia's face. You've been watching? Remus met her gaze with a mixture of pain and resolve. I didn't want to believe Crispin could push you so far. But he's manipulative, Alicia. I had to protect you, protect us. She pressed a trembling hand to her forehead. I feel so stupid. He fed me these lies about his mother. About being alone, I fell for it. Remus gently stroked her back. You're not stupid. You're kind. He exploited that. But now we have proof. Lowen's ready to act on it. Alicia's breathing slowed as she processed his words. Then Crispin will face consequences. Remus nodded grimly. Yes. Tomorrow morning we'll meet Lowen and Marissa. They'll handle the official complaint, and Crispin won't see it coming. She swallowed, tears still brimming. Remus, I'm sorry I kept things from you. I was scared of how you'd react, scared to admit Crispin was crossing lines. I never wanted to betray you. Remus leaned in, pressing a gentle kiss to her temple, an emotional, not overly intimate gesture. We'll fix this together. But first, Crispin pays for cornering you. Under the cold, fluorescent glow of the overhead lamp, Alicia sank against the seat, letting Remus wrap an arm around her. Though tension still weighed heavily on them, a current of understanding passed between husband and wife. With Crispin's downfall all but certain, they shared a quiet moment, anchored by the knowledge that daylight would bring retribution and the beginning of healing for both of them. Cool morning light filtered through the windows of the HR conference room. The air felt charged, like the moment before a thunderstorm. Remus sat at one end of a long table, his posture rigid. Alicia was beside him, eyes downcast. Across from them, Marissa and Lowen arranged stacks of papers detailing Crispin's misdeeds. Crispin eventually breezed in, wearing a tailored suit and forced confidence. A flicker of surprise danced in his eyes at the sight of so many concerned faces in one room. "What's going on?" he asked, voice tight. Lowen cleared his throat. "We're here to address formal allegations of harassment and misconduct." The instant tension in Crispin's jaw betrayed his alarm. He glanced at Alicia, then Remus, and let out a dismissive laugh. "This is a farce. You can't be serious." Marissa kept her tone measured. "We have recorded evidence. You attempted physical contact with Alicia without her consent, undermined her marriage, and fostered a hostile environment. Additional concerns involving your financial irregularities and prior complaints have also come to light." Crispin's eyes narrowed. "You set me up! You tricked me!" he spat, glaring at Remus. "This is your doing!" Remus laced his fingers together, meeting Crispin's gaze squarely. "I'm just protecting my wife and this company from you." Lowen slid a folder across the table. "Company policy states that with substantiated evidence of harassment, plus a history of prior warnings, you face termination, effective immediately." Crispin's face blanched. His knuckles went white on the edge of the table. "This is a witch hunt. I can't believe you're all ganging up on me." Alicia mustered a steadier voice than she felt. "You lied about your mother's illness. You manipulated me, and you tried to kiss me when I clearly said no." Shame and rage contorted Crispin's expression. He shot up from his chair, pointing a trembling finger at Remus. "You think you're the hero, but you're just a jealous husband who used dirty tactics." His voice rose in anger, echoing off the conference room walls. "You haven't heard the last of me." Remus stood slowly, a quiet calm in his eyes. "Leave Alicia alone and leave this place. You're finished here." For a split second, Crispin appeared ready to lunge, fury pulsing through every tendon. Then Lowen, stepping protectively beside Marissa, gestured to the security guards waiting outside. Crispin backed away, cursing under his breath. "I'll remember this," he hissed, pointing at each of them in turn. "All of you." Two security guards escorted Crispin out, his final threats echoing in the hall. The conference room fell silent. Alicia released a shaky breath, tears sliding down her cheeks. Remus gently placed a hand on her shoulder, and Marissa exhaled in relief. Lowen smoothed his tie, jaw set. "That's done. He looked from Alicia to Remus. I'm sorry it ever got this far. If you need anything counseling, security, please let me know. Remus nodded gratefully. Thank you, Lowen. We appreciate everything. Marissa walked around the table, resting a reassuring hand on Alicia's arm. You're safe now. Crispin's gone, but I know this might not feel over yet. Her gaze flicked to Remus, reflecting a shared understanding of Crispin's temperament. Alicia swallowed hard, her voice trembling. I just want to go home. Remus gathered her things. Then let's go. We'll handle the aftermath together. Outside, the early winter breeze brushed against them. Although Crispin's presence lingered like a dark shadow, Remus felt an unmistakable sense of victory tinged with apprehension. He's out of our lives, at least at work, Remus thought. But Crispin's final warning won't fade so easily. That evening, Remus and Alicia retreated to the quiet sanctuary of their living room. The kids, Penny and Toby, were blissfully engaged with a puzzle on the rug, giggling over mismatched pieces. Alicia watched them with watery eyes, gripping the couch pillow to her chest. Remus set 2 mugs of tea on the coffee table and carefully nudged Penny and Toby toward their bedtime routine. All right, munchkins, he said softly. Time to brush teeth. Then Daddy will read a story. Once the children scampered off, Alicia turned to Remus, tears pooling again. I feel so guilty. I should have seen Crispin for what he was. Remus exhaled, sliding closer to her. He was skilled at deception. Don't blame yourself for caring about someone you thought was in crisis. She folded her arms around her knees, voice trembling. I almost lost us, and maybe Crispin's not gone for good. What if he tries something else? Remus's chest tightened. He remembered Crispin's threats. We'll be on guard. If he contacts you, you tell me. We'll involve the police if we have to. But let's not live in fear. He paused. I'm still angry about it all, but I love you, Alicia. That hasn't changed. She let out a shuddering breath, relief and sorrow mingling. I love you too. I'm sorry I wasn't honest sooner. He wrapped an arm around her shoulders, pulling her gently against him. We'll figure this out, maybe with professional help. Marissa recommended therapy or counseling. Are you open to that? A faint smile touched Alicia's lips. Yes, I think we need it. Her gaze flicked toward the hallway, where Toby squealed happily at Penny. For them, too. I want our family strong again. Remus pressed his forehead to hers, a gesture of closeness rather than raw intimacy. All right, let's make that our priority. Later that night, after reading the kids a short bedtime story and tucking them in, Remus found Alicia thumbing through her phone. She was hesitating over a contact number for a local marriage counselor. Mustering courage, she tapped it. Healing starts now, she thought, the phone's dial tone echoing softly in the bedroom's hush. A few days passed, quiet but tense like the lull following a storm, though the clouds still hovered. Remus and Alicia began therapy sessions, delving into the wounds Crispin had inflicted and the cracks in their communication. Slowly, they found words for the pain, forging a fragile sense of trust. One chilly afternoon, Alicia finished work early and decided to pick up Penny and Toby from preschool. As she stepped into the parking lot, her phone buzzed with a private number. Hesitating, she answered. Crispin's venomous whisper shot through the line. You think you've won? A chill ran down Alicia's spine. Crispin, leave me alone. He breathed heavily, his voice low. I lost my job, my reputation. That's on you. You played me, both you and your husband. She gulped, scanning the quiet street, fear twisting in her gut. You did this to yourself. Please just stay away. A bitter laugh crackled from the speaker. You can't get rid of me that easily. Without warning, a black sedan screeched to a halt nearby. Crispin emerged, eyes wild. Alicia's heart pounded. She let out a cry and sprinted back toward the school building's entrance. Crispin advanced a few steps, but Remus's car roared in from behind, tires crunching gravel. He must have tracked Alicia's frantic call. Remus leaped out, slamming the door. Back off, he snarled, planting himself between Crispin and Alicia. Crispin glared at Remus, fury etched across his face. You can't stop me from talking to her. Alicia trembled behind Remus. Fear pulsed in her veins as Crispin clenched his fists. Remus's voice cut the air. This ends now. We've got lawyers, HR, recordings. You set foot near her again, we'll sue you into the ground or involve the police. Do you understand? Crispin scoffed, eyes darting around, searching for an advantage. A moment's hesitation flickered across his features. Then he took a step back. This isn't over, he spat, but his voice wavered. His bravado cracked. Remus advanced one step, fists at his sides. Yes, it is. Go. Now. Crispin shot Alicia one last venomous glare, then spun on his heel, jumping back into his sedan. With a screech of tires, he sped away. Alicia collapsed against Remus, tears burning her cheeks as Penny and Toby peeked from the preschool entrance in confusion. Holding Alicia close, Remus stared after the fleeing car. His own breath was shaky, adrenaline roaring in his ears. He's gone. For good, I hope. 2 weeks later, the Crispin ordeal seemed a distant nightmare, though its effects still lingered in the corners of Remus and Alicia's life. Therapy sessions were helping them talk more openly, forging new pathways of honesty and support. On a brisk Saturday morning, sunlight sparkled on frosty lawn grass as Remus prepared a backyard barbecue. The children darted around, squealing. Alicia stepped outside with a bowl of marinated veggies, her cheeks touched by a gentle smile. Though they had scars, they were together. Marissa dropped by, carrying a small bag of pastries. "How's life without Crispin?" she teased lightly, her eyes warm with genuine concern. Alicia managed a half-laugh. "Peaceful, mostly. I'm still jumpy sometimes, but it's better." She glanced at Remus, who was lighting the grill. "We're working through things." Remus gave Marissa a grateful nod. "Thanks for everything you did from the very start. Exposing Crispin, standing up for Alicia, it means a lot." She shrugged. "I'm just glad we got rid of him. You two deserve to breathe easy." Lowen arrived shortly after, giving a friendly wave. "HR housekeeping note. Crispin's gone for good, and we have an internal memo protecting Alicia from any possible slander. We've got your back." Remus shook his hand, relief flooding him. "That's great news." As the day unfolded, neighbors and friends trickled in for the barbecue. Penny and Toby delighted in showing off their new playset, squealing with laughter. Alicia and Remus stood side by side, flipping burgers and chatting with guests, exchanging the occasional soft glance that spoke volumes. When the crowd thinned, Alicia brushed her hand gently across Remus's arm. "I know we've been through a lot," she murmured, "but I feel hopeful again." He turned to her, gazing into her eyes. "So do I," he said simply. Maybe it's time for a new start in more ways than one. A flicker of a half-formed idea stirred in his mind. A different position at work? A new city? Yet for now, he pushed those thoughts aside and focused on the moment. Crispin was gone. The children were healthy, and Alicia was by his side. The tension that once choked their home had lifted. They'd survived the storm together. The early March sunshine cast elongated shadows across the glass-paneled lobby, where Remus arrived for a morning meeting. He straightened the collar of his navy blazer, a flicker of nervous anticipation thrumming in his chest. Despite everything that had happened, life at the shipbuilding firm was pressing on, and with Crispin out of the picture, the corporate wheels were turning in new directions. Gawain had texted him only an hour earlier. "They want to see you in the executive conference room. Big news. Don't be late." Now, stepping into the sleek, modern space overlooking the sprawling dockyards, Remus found his supervisor, Lorelei, already seated at the head of the polished oak table. She greeted him with a warm smile. "Remus, thanks for coming on short notice," Lorelei said, gesturing for him to sit. "We've seen your composure and strategic thinking in a challenging environment. The leadership team has taken note." His heart fluttered. Composure likely referred to how he'd handled the Crispin fiasco, all without letting official projects falter. "Thank you," he replied, determined to remain modest. Lorelei handed him a crisp folder. "There's a growing need for strong, conflict-free leadership, someone who can handle crisis and still drive productivity. Our sister firm in the next city is expanding operations, and we want you to spearhead a new managerial position there, Senior Project Director." Remus blinked, excitement warring with caution. A swirl of questions arose. Am I ready? Will Alicia be okay with the potential stress? He inhaled, steadying himself. That's a significant role. I'm honored. Lorelei's eyes shone with encouragement. Take time to think it over. The environment won't be as turbulent, but the job demands focus and possibly more travel. We'd hate to lose you here, but the expansion suits your skill set. He nodded, flipping through the folder. A generous salary bump, higher-level responsibilities, a new beginning. I'll give you my answer soon, he promised. Walking out, Remus clutched the folder, mind abuzz. This promotion felt like validation after the Crispin nightmare, but is it the right move for us? The question lingered, a knot of excitement and apprehension twisting in his gut. That evening at home, Alicia looked up from her laptop, curiosity shining in her gaze when she saw him clutching an unfamiliar folder. What's that? He hesitated, then smiled gently. An offer I never expected. They want me to lead a new branch. Alicia's eyes widened. Seriously? That's amazing. She paused, studying his tense posture. You're not thrilled? Remus exhaled, raking a hand through his hair. It's not that I'm ungrateful, but I'm worried about dragging us into another wave of stress. We've been through enough drama to last a lifetime. She closed her laptop, taking his hand. Remus, you've earned this. You stayed strong and protected me and our family. If this is something you want... He gave a thoughtful nod, pressing her fingers gently. I'll think carefully. We have to decide together. 2 days later, Remus returned to the bustling headquarters, folder in tow, to gather more details on the expansion. As he neared the open plan office, he spotted Gawain leaning against a cubicle wall, arms folded, exchanging hushed words with a colleague Remus didn't recognize. Gawain waved him over. Hey, buddy, meet Diana, one of our new HR assistants. She's been hearing rumors about your promotion. Remus extended a polite handshake. Diana was petite, with keen brown eyes that hinted at curiosity. Rumors travel fast here, he said wryly. She smiled. Congratulations if it's true. But a word of caution, some folks think you were involved in that Crispin debacle in questionable ways. A small group is insinuating you manipulated the situation to move up. Remus felt a prickle of irritation. That's absurd. Crispin's termination was a direct result of his own misconduct. Gawain patted his shoulder. I know, but you might face skepticism from folks who heard half the story. They see Crispin gone and you potentially rising in rank, and they're drawing nasty conclusions. Remus sighed, recalling how Crispin's manipulative aura had left behind a swirl of rumors. This is the last thing I need. Diana shrugged apologetically. I just wanted you to know. You've got supporters Marissa, Lowen, Gawain here, but there's also this new guy in procurement, Carter. He's been stirring the pot, questioning how Crispin got axed. Gawain snorted. Carter's a cynic who loves a conspiracy. Don't let him rattle you, but do watch your back. Remus forced a small smile. Thanks for the heads-up. I guess Crispin's shadow lingers, even if he's gone. Stepping away, Remus mulled over the potential hostility. A new position meant greater visibility, and that also meant more political crossfire. Should I dodge office drama by stepping away entirely, or lean into it for the sake of this opportunity? The question gnawed at him. That afternoon, Marissa caught Remus near the coffee station, handing him a paper cup. Heard about the promotion possibility, she said with a supportive smile. Congrats. He sighed. Thanks, but apparently Carter is sowing doubts. He claims I orchestrated Crispin's downfall. Marissa frowned. Ridiculous. Crispin dug his own grave. However, office rumors rarely care about facts. People love a juicy story. Remus took a sip of coffee, the bitterness reflecting his mood. I want a fresh start, not more chaos. Marissa placed a reassuring hand on his arm. You can't let cynics hold you back. You're good at your job. Remus let that speak for itself. Over the following week, Remus wrestled with the decision like a sailor caught between two strong currents. On one hand, the promotion offered a chance to elevate their finances, give Penny and Toby better opportunities, and prove his leadership beyond crisis management. On the other, it threatened to pull him into deeper corporate entanglements and potentially away from Alicia's newfound sense of security. One evening, after tucking the kids into bed, he found Alicia in the kitchen. She was browsing recipes on her tablet, humming softly signs she was finally regaining her usual warmth. He joined her, leaning against the counter. I've been going back and forth about the promotion, Liz. She turned off her tablet. You sound stressed. Talk to me. He rubbed his eyes, letting honesty guide him. We worked so hard to rebuild our trust, especially after Crispin. If I jump into a high-pressure role, more travel, more responsibility, I'm afraid we'll slip into old patterns, me being absent. You feeling alone? Alicia's gaze turned serious. I won't lie, that's a risk. But let's remember, we've learned from our mistakes. We communicate better now. And Gawain, Marissa, they all trust you. This could be your time to shine. Outside, a gust of wind rattled the window, echoing the unease in Remus's heart. He swallowed hard. I want to provide for us in a bigger way. Penny's starting elementary school soon. Toby's outgrowing everything so fast, but is it worth risking our peace? Alicia set her hand on his cheek. We can't live in fear of repeating the past. If this is your dream, don't run from it. We'll set boundaries. We'll talk openly. Besides, I've seen how you light up whenever you discuss strategy or leading a team. You're made for this. Emotions welled in him: gratitude, love, a hint of excitement. I guess I do enjoy the challenge. And it'd be nice to step away from the gossip here. She smiled softly, brushing a thumb over his jawline. Exactly. Whatever you choose, I'm with you. They stood there in the soft glow of the kitchen light, the hum of the refrigerator underscoring the quiet promise between them. This time, we face it together. The next morning, Remus called a small family meeting. Penny and Toby sat at the dining table, coloring pictures with bright crayons. Alicia leaned against the back of a chair, curious. Remus cleared his throat. So some big changes might be coming. He spoke gently so the kids could follow. Daddy's been offered a new job in a different office. It's a chance to do bigger projects and earn more, but I might have to travel or come home later sometimes. Penny, with the bluntness only a child could muster, asked, Will you still read me bedtime stories? He crouched next to her. I'll do my best, sweetie. And if I'm late sometimes, I promise I'll make up for it, like reading 2 stories the next night. Toby giggled, scribbling on his paper. 2 stories, he cheered. Alicia joined the conversation, shooting Remus a tender look. We're a team. If Daddy needs to work more for a while, we'll help him, right? Penny nodded solemnly. Okay, as long as we can still have weekends. Remus swallowed a lump in his throat. He realized this was what truly mattered, his family's support and understanding. Standing up, he addressed them with renewed conviction. So, I'll accept this promotion. But I promise, you'll always come first. Deal? Deal! Penny chirped, Toby echoing with a gleeful squeak. Alicia walked over, slipping her hand around Remus's waist. I'm proud of you, she whispered, resting her head on his shoulder. Just remember the lessons we've learned about open communication. No secrets. His chest felt lighter, a sense of purpose coursing through him. Yes, we've rebuilt our marriage on honesty after Crispin. We won't let ambition tear us apart. Late that afternoon, he dialed Lorelei's number, stepping outside into the crisp spring air. The breeze felt refreshing, symbolizing a clean slate. Her voice crackled through the phone. Remus, have you decided? He looked toward the horizon, the sky streaked with faint orange as the sun dipped. Yes, I'll take the senior project director position on the condition that we maintain a supportive schedule. My family's well-being comes first. Lorelei's pleased tone matched the warmth building in his chest. Understood. Welcome aboard. We'll finalize details next week. Hanging up, Remus exhaled, letting the magnitude settle. A new challenge, a fresh environment, and a test of everything he and Alicia had worked so hard to restore. He felt Alicia step behind him, sliding an arm around his waist. How do you feel? She asked softly. He clasped her hand, smiling. Nervous, excited, ready, because I'm not doing this alone. She squeezed his fingers in silent agreement. A gentle wind carried the scent of blooming azaleas from the neighbor's yard. Their trials had shaped them. Crispin's manipulations had threatened to break them, but the storm had passed. Now came the careful process of building a future on firmer ground. A crisp breeze fluttered through the airport terminal's glass doors as Remus rolled his carry-on behind him. The sun was barely up, casting pale morning light across the gleaming floors. Despite the early hour, the place buzzed with travelers and metallic announcements echoing overhead. He glanced over his shoulder at Alicia. She held Toby on her hip and had an arm protectively around Penny. The children looked subdued, half awake, but clutching Remus's sleeves, reluctant to let go. "I'll only be gone a few weeks," Remus reassured them softly, bending to place a gentle kiss on each child's head. "Then I'll be back for a visit." Alicia forced a brave smile, though her eyes glistened with unshed tears. "Call us when you land. We'll video chat as often as possible, okay?" The new position at the sister branch had quickly led to a larger international project. Senior project director duties demanded Remus's on-site presence in a bustling Asian port city, known for its advanced shipbuilding technology. The opportunity was golden, a significant pay raise, networking potential, and an expansion of his professional horizons. Yet the cost was separation from his family for longer stretches. He squeezed Alicia's hand, inhaling the comforting scent of her familiar perfume. "I promise. Every night if I can. We'll keep those lines of communication open." Alicia nodded, recentering Toby, who wriggled in her arms. "You're going to do great," she murmured. "We'll be fine here." Yet Remus heard the uncertainty in her voice, a haunting echo of earlier fears that Crispin's meddling had awakened. "No secrets this time," he vowed silently. No emotional gaps left unchecked. She kissed him goodbye, a lingering, tender moment. Penny tugged at his pants, tears welling. "Come home soon, Daddy," she whispered. His chest tightened. "Count on it, sweetheart." He waved one last time, then stepped through the security gate, turning to see Alicia still standing there, her figure small but unwavering against the backdrop of busy travelers. His heart clenched, but determination bolstered him forward. "A new challenge, one I won't let tear us apart." The first days in the new city blurred by in a whirlwind of jet lag, corporate meetings, and the hum of foreign voices. From the window of his high-rise temporary apartment, Remus gazed out at a dazzling skyline of neon signs and illuminated cranes perched over massive ship docks. It reminded him of the yard at home, but on a grander scale. His phone buzzed with a text from Alicia. "Kid, say hi. Penny wants to know if you can read her a bedtime story via video tonight." Remus smiled, replying with an enthusiastic, "Yes, definitely," before pocketing his phone. He'd arranged a flexible schedule with his local manager so he could leave the site earlier some days and connect with his family despite the time zone difference. Work was challenging. Local engineers had distinct methods, and cultural nuances demanded tact. Yet Remus thrived on problem-solving. He gained respect from his new team and found satisfaction in bridging communication gaps lessons Crispin's fiasco had forced him to learn. Still, old anxieties simmered beneath his professional composure. One afternoon, after a lengthy strategy session, a female project coordinator named Grace approached. Tall and confident, with a sharp eye for detail, she praised Remus's leadership style. "You handle conflict well. It's refreshing to see," she remarked, her tone genuinely admiring. Remus offered a polite smile. "Thanks. It hasn't always been easy, but I learned the hard way that clarity and honesty solve more issues than secrecy." She gave him a thoughtful look. "We're lucky to have you on board." Over the following days, Grace occasionally lingered after meetings to consult with Remus about technical concerns. Though she was professional, her warm demeanor and frequent compliments raised an instinctive alert in Remus' memories of Crispin's cunning infiltration into Alicia's personal space still stung. One evening, while finalizing a design sketch, Grace breezed into Remus's office. "It's late," she noted. "You should call it a day." He glanced at the clock. 8 p.m. local time morning back home. Perfect for video chat with the family. "You're right. I need to check in with my wife and kids." A flicker of surprise crossed Grace's face, but she nodded politely. "Of course. Family first." After she left, Remus released a small breath. He locked up the files, feeling relieved he'd steered the conversation toward Alicia. Stay transparent, always. Crispin's memory was a constant reminder never to let walls of secrecy form. Within minutes, he was video calling Alicia. Her face appeared on his phone screen, radiant even through the pixelation. "Hey, stranger," she teased gently. He chuckled. "Miss me already?" She arched a playful eyebrow. Always. You missed dinner chaos, though Toby insisted on smearing spaghetti sauce everywhere. Her light-hearted tone settled his restlessness. That's my boy, he joked. Anyway, fill me in. How's your day been? They spoke for nearly an hour, bridging the distance with laughter and honest talk. When Remus finally ended the call, he felt the quiet ring of contentment. We can make this work, he thought, stepping onto the apartment balcony. A warm breeze carried the city's hum, reminding him that trust, like any structure, demanded consistent reinforcement. Weeks slipped by. Remus navigated intense project deadlines, often returning to his apartment exhausted, but still making time for Alicia's calls. Each conversation was a lifeline, tying him back to the comforting reality of home. Then one afternoon, a message from Gawain landed in his inbox. Call me ASAP. Family emergency. Blood pounding in his ears, Remus dialed. The phone rang only once. Remus! Gawain's voice came through in a rush. Your mom, Harriet, she had a sudden collapse at home. Alicia's taking her to the hospital. Panic seized Remus. He hastily arranged a flight back, every nerve on edge as he booked a last-minute ticket. Not again. Don't let tragedy strike when I'm far away. He arrived stateside to find Alicia in the hospital waiting area, dark circles under her eyes. She clutched Toby's tiny hand. Penny dozed, leaning against her mom's side. Alicia! Remus rushed forward, hugging her and the kids. How's my mom? Alicia's eyes brimmed with relief and fatigue. She's stable now, but the doctors suspect a mild stroke. They need to run tests. Despite the fear swirling in his mind, Remus calmed himself enough to speak with the medical staff. Harriet had lost consciousness briefly, but scans indicated she could recover well with therapy. Remus felt tears sting his eyes, relief that the worst seemed to be passing. He sank onto a plastic chair next to Alicia, exhaustion and gratitude tangling within him. Thank you for being there for her, he said. I should have... Alicia squeezed his hand, stopping the guilt-laden words. You couldn't have known. You did everything right by rushing home as soon as possible. Their eyes met, an unspoken understanding bridging any distance that had formed while he was away. In that sterile hospital corridor, they reaffirmed the vow that Crispin had once threatened. We face challenges together. The next day, Harriet's condition improved. She managed a small joke, telling Remus, You left me alone too long, young man. Had to do something dramatic to get you back. Her voice was shaky but laced with humor, warming Remus's heart. Alicia watched mother and son banter, a soft smile lingering on her lips. This is what truly matters, she thought, recalling Crispin's manipulations from months ago. Their family remained stronger than any storm. Harriet recovered at home, aided by short rehab sessions. Remus split time between ensuring his mother's safety and checking in remotely with the overseas project. Alicia handled the kids' routines with practiced ease, leaning on Gawain and Marissa when errands piled up. One crisp Saturday morning, Remus walked Harriet slowly around her backyard, letting her enjoy the sun and the gentle rustle of tree branches overhead. She nudged him with her elbow. You look different, you know. More confident. Remus chuckled. Maybe that's from confronting Crispin or wrangling corporate expansions. I feel like we've come a long way. Harriet's eyes shone with maternal pride. Just remember what brought you here. Your wife and your determination to protect your family. Don't lose sight of that. Later that evening, Remus and Alicia found a rare, quiet moment on the porch swing after the kids had dozed off. The neighborhood lights glowed softly in the distance, and a mild breeze carried the scent of freshly cut grass. I rescheduled my return flight for next week, Remus told her. I'll finalize some on-site work and hopefully set up a routine for traveling back more often. The company's flexible, as long as I keep delivering results. Alicia nestled closer to him, her voice content. That's good. I've been thinking maybe I'll look into some career development too. If you're balancing overseas stints, I might step up at my department. I want the kids to see both of us thriving. He brushed a strand of hair from her face. I love that idea. We can support each other's goals, so neither of us feels overshadowed or alone. A silent moment passed, the two recalling how Crispin had threatened to tear them apart. Now, they faced bigger horizons, geographical distance, Expanded responsibilities, but with stronger unity. At last, Alicia pressed her lips gently to Remus's, a warm, lingering kiss that held no secrets, only promise. "I believe in us," she whispered, leaning her forehead against his. He wrapped an arm around her shoulders, heart swelling with gratitude. "We've conquered heartbreak, manipulative predators, and 1,000 anxieties. We can handle a new city or a new continent if we stand together." They turned their eyes toward the sky, where distant stars blinked like hopeful beacons. The future no longer loomed as a threat, but as an open road they were ready to travel hand in hand.